Over $15 million US was recklessly traded and gambled away by the Ardana team, which was supposed to be building on Cardano and Ethereum. And as a part of today's video, I want to find out exactly how that was allowed to happen. Oh, what is going on, ADA Nation? Welcome to Dapp Central. My name is Fareed, and in today's video, I want to take a look at the Ardana project and some of their history, given the fact that they were one of the biggest failed projects on the Cardano network. Now, one thing to keep in mind is that this report will be done by the Cerberus team. I'll leave the link to their official website, as well as the full report if you guys want to check this out on your own. Now, to that end, this is a mind-boggling report that I just spent the last 30 minutes to an hour reviewing on my own. But there's just so much information here that I haven't had the time to digest it fully, but I'll be reading it in its entirety over the course of the next few days. Now, what I want to do is jump into some of the highlights, giving you guys my take, as well as some of the facts surrounding a $15 million rug in the Cardano as well as the Ethereum space. As always, if you guys enjoy these types of videos, again, bringing you guys all the facts and updates surrounding Cardano, please make sure to tap that like button. If it's your first time stopping by the channel and you want more content like this, consider subscribing. And if you have any questions for me surrounding Ardana or Cerberus, which I am going to reach out to the team to potentially get them on for an interview, then make sure to leave those comments down below. So as a piece of background, if you guys are not familiar with Ardana, they were aiming to be a stable coin in a DeFi platform, which initially raised funds on Ethereum and then also migrated over to raise funds on Cardano. Now, about a year ago, maybe a little bit less, we actually saw the team make a statement saying that they had run out of development funds. Therefore, the project will be coming to a halt. Around the same time, I did release a video breaking down all of the details, so I will go ahead and leave the link to that down below. But as a part of that particular video, I was touching on the fact that the team had made it out to seem as if they were developing all along and they just ran out of funds, and that there was just a little bit of fund mismanagement. After this report, I can see exactly why we need risk management in investigative platforms like Cerberus. And then there's another platform, which is going to be called CRCI, that I want to jump into at the very end of this video. So these kinds of platforms, again, are really bringing the transparency that we need in blockchain, because at the end of the day, even though everything is transparent, not a lot of people have the time or the resources or the availability to actually trace all this information back. So now that we understand a little bit of backstory behind Ardana and what they have actually done, let's jump into this particular tweet thread released by Cerberus. So it reads here, Ardana is the largest rugged project in the history of Cardano. Again, keep in mind that they did raise funds on Ethereum as well. Read this thread to learn how they gambled away millions and how much they extracted from the Cardano ecosystem. Again, I'll leave the link to the full report down below. It is quite lengthy. And so jumping into the second portion of the tweet thread, it states that at the very beginning, Ardana raised up to $9.08 million on Ethereum from at least 75 different investors. Again, this team really puts their money where their mouth is. You guys can actually see all of the addresses that sent funds to the funding raising pool wallet, which is listed there at the very bottom of this screenshot. So after raising more than $9 million, they look like they were trading on Ethereum-based DEXs, and they actually lost over the course of 4 months, multi-million-dollar in terms of amounts. So at the very top there, we have a loss from a token called DPX, which I'm definitely not aware of. Again, these are all Ethereum-based tokens, in which they incurred a net loss of over $1.3 million. Right after that, there's CVX with over $390,000, followed by RDPX, $240,000 in terms of losses, and the list goes on and on and on. Now, what's interesting is if we take a look at the full document, again, we have all the losses here. They did make some wins, but those are so small compared to the amount that they actually lost. So their biggest win was $240,000 in the Spell token. But again, if we compare that to their biggest loss, that's over $1.3 million from DPX. So interesting information when it comes to that here. And then jumping back into the tweet, it states that we assume that their losses on centralized exchanges mirrored losses on DEXs. So not only were they trading on centralized exchanges, but they were also basically putting investors' funds at risk by leveraging DEXs and trading on those as well. So by March of 2022, and I believe they fundraised around the early portion of 2021, just 4 months after the conclusion of their fundraise, the Ardana team needed to refill their balances and started to rug or move over into the Cardano ecosystem. So this raises one thing in my mind, and that's the fact that we have to be careful with projects' past history and why some of them may be leaving one ecosystem and then coming to another. I think that this is a lot more prevalent with NFTs because a lot of those projects don't necessarily have to have the same background and the same amount of documentation as DeFi projects. But we tend to see that a lot of failed projects leave one ecosystem where they're now recognized as a bad actor into a new ecosystem where there is some quote unquote fresh new blood and they don't have the reputation that is haunting them from the past ecosystem. Now, sometimes we do see detractors, get called out by people from other communities, but it's essentially up to us to do our own due diligence when it comes to investing in some of these protocols. So after they had basically gambled away millions of dollars on Ethereum, they finally decided to move over into Cardano. Now, jumping over into the next tweet, it states that at the core of their capital extraction from the Cardano ecosystem was the Ardana Treasury wallet, as well as the Founders wallet. In total, almost 6 million additional US dollars were extracted from the Cardano ecosystem. So 9 million from Ethereum and then 6 million from Cardano. Jumping over into the next tab, we have a little bit of information surrounding what might actually be left over from the total $15 million raised. So last but not least, the Cerberus team found one wallet remaining under the control of the Ardana administrator with 1.4 million USDC, which is going to be a stable coin pegged to the US dollar. So basically $1.4 million still in it as of last month, meaning there might be an avenue for investors to demand, some of their money back. So again, shout out to the Cerberus team, not only giving us the facts, but giving us the visuals to put this together. As you guys can see there, they have a pretty cool diagram of all of the different exchanges where these wallets interacted with, which all leads back over to the treasury chest, which currently holds that 1.4 million USDC. One thing that is extremely interesting here is that I recall around the same exact time that the Ardana team mentioned that they would be basically closing down shop, that they were having an NFT sale for another project called Orbis. So this was basically another spin-off project by the same exact team, or at least the majority of the same exact team taking place on Cardano. So it looks like they were trying to extract even more funds at the time that Ardana went out. And of course, because Ardana went out, Orbis also went out at the same exact time. But imagine if they would have been able to get away, with that, right? How many more ADA, how many more USDC, and how much more US dollars they would have been able to extract from our ecosystem. So again, guys, I think it's up to us as investors in this community to make sure that we're always staying in tune with who's coming into the ecosystem and how they're raising funds. So last but not least here, as a part of Cerberus's report, they basically state that given the information that they know now, right, if they look back at the events, they would have been able to give us 6 different alerts. The first would have came on September 22nd of 2021, which would have been an event alert, notifying users that there was blending of investment funds with private wallets. A couple of months later, in January, there would have been an additional alert going out surrounding the fact that there was a transfer of over 33% of investor funds for undisclosed trading activities on Ethereum. That would have been the major red flag right there. A couple of months later, in March, there would have been another alert basically highlighting that there was a marked shift in the network activity on both ETH and ADA fronts. Now, I'm not going to jump into the last ones there, but there's basically a note surrounding the risk rating associated with the Ardana application basically plummeting. Now, the last piece there at the very bottom states that they would have sent out an additional and a final alert surrounding the offloading of tokens from insider wallets over the summer of 2022 on the Cardano network. Now, I did mention this at the very beginning. Again, if you guys want to read this entire thing on your own and you want to take a look at the numbers on your own, definitely make sure to check out the full report. Shout out to the Cerberus team for number one, doing all this research, and then number two, spreading the facts with the Cardano community. Now, what I want to jump into here, because again, this was all supported by the Cerberus team, is just quickly highlight their Project Catalyst proposal. So they have, I believe, two proposals. One is going to be for their analytics dashboard, in which they're requesting 200,000 ADA. And then they're going to be trying to provide a risk rating platform for all fungible assets on Cardano, which they're requesting 400,000 ADA. Seeing this particular report, I am fully behind their two proposals. I think that they have not only the expertise, but they have the time and the availability to put out high quality content surrounding their investigations. Now, last but not least, I want to jump into CRCI. I just had an interview with RJ from the platform. I'll be releasing that very shortly. Definitely make sure to check that particular interview out when it comes out. But they're going to be taking a first principles approach to DeFi fundamental analysis. So you can imagine that they'll be doing a very similar thing. And they've got an actual example of what their CRCI matrix looks like. So as you guys can see there, there's all the top protocols building on Cardano, and they're basically broken down into visionaries, leaders, challengers, and contenders. But that's not all. They do also provide on an individual basis for each of the DeFi protocols that they track a full metric breakdown of all of their stats or all their fundamentals, which include sentiment as well as the technical and just everything when it comes to, their communication, the team, the experience, their background, etc. So two pretty big platforms, again, Cerberus and CRCI, which are tackling the same problem, which is due diligence in an ecosystem and a market that is emerging with so much new tech that it's really hard to keep up with if you're a brand new investor in this space. The CRCI team does also have a couple of proposals. I'll go ahead and they have a single proposal, which I'll leave the link to down below as a part of today's video description. So that, I think, will kind of wrap it up here for today's video. Let me know what you guys think down below. I know that the Ardana team basically made it out to seem as if they, had just run out of money unintentionally. But after looking at this particular report, again, which is fact-based, it looks like they basically were gambling with a lot of the investors' funds, trying to make a profit from funds that were supposed to be going towards delivering an actual protocol. So let me know what you guys think down below. What can we as a community do to make sure that this doesn't continue to happen? And what can we do to raise awareness surrounding critical platforms like Cerberus and CRCI? As always, if you guys enjoyed today's video breaking down the latest news and updates on Cardano, I would appreciate you if you could tap that like button. If it's your first time stopping by the channel and you want more content like this, consider subscribing. And if you have any questions for me surrounding the Ardana project, Cerberus, or CRCI, then make sure to go ahead and leave a comment down below. That said, and as always, I will see you guys in the next video.